Welcome to Global Professionals in Portugal. Today's guest is Deborah Dehab, and she is an expat coach and intercultural psychologist. She works with people who are moving abroad, not just to Portugal, but anywhere, and helps them with their journey. But I'm going to let her come on and tell us about her business and her business journey. Deborah, thank you so much for being on the show.
It's great to be here and finally meet you in person. I help people plan, implement a move abroad and adjust after arrival. And I do what other people don't. When people think about living abroad, moving abroad, typically they think about the paperwork, the visa application, the
Mhm.
finance budget, with the logistics, the shipping. And I like to make an analogy that this is a little bit like building a house. And if you were to build a house, that's the
Right.
roof, those are the walls. But before we build a house, we need to have a blueprint. We need to know what its purpose will be. Like, is it a cottage? Is it a cabin? Is it a bachelor pad? Is it a family house? What is your budget? What do you like? What you don't like? Who's going to live there? And I help people implement their move abroad, treating it like a project and project management, looking into all the aspects from helping them decide if moving abroad is for them and is for them
Mhm.
now. Until how to do the research, how to navigate all of the moving parts of preparing a move abroad, in the mindset aspect, like dealing with the overwhelm, and also in the practical things, like how do I decide what I bring and what I don't bring to the new country? How do I decide where to live? How do I research really effectively and efficiently? How do I navigate cultural differences? How do I navigate intercultural communication? How do I learn a new language? So I help people from the moment they think, I think I might want to live abroad. What do I
Right.
do?
Mhm.
Until they feel completely happy and at ease in their new location.
There's a lot of great service providers out there, and we've worked with several of them during our move. And the thing is, none of them are really ready to talk to you until you're like 6 months out from moving. Like, the person who's gonna help you organize your visa process, or maybe they're gonna help you with healthcare or any of that stuff. They're not there a year and a half or 2 years out when you're still like, "Okay, is this gonna work? How do I need to restructure my life?" And that is a really difficult time to navigate, especially if you don't know anybody in your personal life who's either
Yeah.
done that or doing it.
Even if you do know someone, everyone is different. Every
Mhm.
situation is different. I also teach, it's like social media is great to confirm what you've researched. It's terrible to start from scratch because everyone has a different background, different concepts, different values. And but like, I see people ask, oh, is it affordable to live somewhere? Who knows what
Who
affordable
knows?
is?
Yeah.
Like, I can buy a white t-shirt at the supermarket for €3, and I can buy a white t-shirt at a major luxury brand for €300.
Mhm.
So who knows? It's a white t-shirt, but it's and navigating this can be hard, and saying goodbyes and managing your expectations
Mhm.
and children's expectations and leaving sometimes elderly parents. So it's hard to navigate all that. And I basically provide what I wish I had in my many moves and didn't
Yeah.
find.
So tell me a little bit about your journey, because you've been an expat in several countries, am I right?
Yes, I started my first move abroad when I was 1 year old. I'm originally from Brazil, so I moved to the States. I lived in the States for about 11 years, and I went back to Brazil. And then since then till now, I've lived in France, in the UK, in Spain, and this is my second time in Portugal.
Okay. So how did your business evolve? Did you just decide one day to do it, or what were some of the thoughts you had, and how did you actually implement that?
Okay, it's like many coaches, my business or my desire to enter this came from my own struggles. Until 2013, when I moved to Portugal the second time, I was a marketing executive. I finished my MBA in 2001, lived in Portugal from 2001 to 2005, was very unhappy here. On paper, my life was perfect. I had a great job, earned good money, had friends, lived in a great place, but I was miserable. I didn't know why I was miserable. I didn't know how to make myself unmiserable. It was a mess. And I had this expectation that I had to be happy, because how am I not happy with ticking all the boxes,
Right.
right? So I ended up, after 5 years trying, which I think is a great time, it's a good deal of time, it's not giving up. I just said, that's it. Can't do this anymore. Went back to Brazil and continued my career in marketing. And then in 2013, I moved again to Portugal. And mind you, I speak Portuguese. Okay. So
Right.
language was not an issue. I
Right.
spoke the language. So 2013, I moved back to Portugal the second time to get married. Failure was not an option. So I realized that I needed to do things differently, but I didn't know how to do things differently. I didn't
Mm.
even know why I had failed in the first place. And then it coincided with a time where I wanted to focus a little bit more on family life. And I said, I want to leave the corporate grind. And salaries in Portugal at the time, and I think this still is true, were a lot lower than in Brazil.
Right.
So I would work the same and earn less. It's like, no. I decided to do some things like, what do I want to do that I've never had the opportunity to do? So I went back to school and I got my master's in intercultural psychology to help myself, to help
Right.
understand what went wrong. And it blew my mind. It was like, oh my God, this exists. There's so much research here. I understood a lot of what I had done in the past and could have done differently. So, in the research process, in the dissertation, I realized that I wanted to help other people. So, in order to do that, I needed to get a coaching certification, and I'm very practical, pragmatic. So
Mhm.
I'm always like, okay, how do I do this? And then I realized, okay, I got my coaching certification, I have my master's. I think credentials are important, not only for credibility, but also because there is research behind it. What I say doesn't come only from my own head. It comes from academic papers, from research.
Did you get your degree and your certifications here?
Yes, everything here.
Okay, so it wasn't an online school. You actually like
No,
okay, gotcha.
this was
Right.
pre-pandemic when online schools weren't
Like,
like
you actually
as
went.
popular. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, where did you go to get your intercultural psychology degree?
I got it at Isqueté, Universidade de.
Do you have to have that in order to do coaching here?
Coaching is not recognized here, as counseling is not recognized here. So in other countries, you can study to be a counselor. This doesn't exist in Portugal.
Okay.
For example, in terms of like formally, there's no such thing. And so it's more like a consulting. That's why I find it so important to have credentials and have studied this and do an internship and all that. And like in my mid 40s, I was doing my pro bono internship again, because that's how you do things. You build from the bottom up. I felt that I needed, in addition to having lived abroad pretty much all my life, I
Right.
needed to know that what I lived and what I felt was not only my own experience. And the research and writing a dissertation and doing the master's gave me that bulk of knowledge.
You said you had when you were here in Portugal for 5 years the first time and you left. You later were able to introspect and learn what challenges maybe made you feel like you weren't living the life you wanted and that that life was somewhere else. Can you share some of those experiences and what the lessons learned were?
Absolutely, absolutely. The thing was, what I learned in hindsight, having thought about it, is that I knew when I moved the first time, I knew all the whys. I knew why it made sense. I knew why I wanted to move, but I didn't know what I wanted to move for. I
Mhm.
didn't know the purpose of the move. I didn't have a clear vision of what I wanted to achieve. Now, in the back of my mind, having left the MBA, I was like, I want to live in Europe. Well, Europe,
Right.
I want to work, I want to go up the corporate ladder. Except in Portugal is a tiny country where there are very few headquarters of multinationals here.
Yeah.
right? They're either in Paris or in London or in Madrid. The Madrid office would take care of the Iberian Peninsula or
Right.
something like that. So I find myself in a situation where I'm frustrated because I wanted more projects, I wanted more, and I'm in a country that doesn't provide that. I
Yeah.
think it was twofold. It was not clarifying the purpose, what I call the what for, not only
Yeah.
why, but the what for. But also, I didn't have a clear idea of how my purpose in life, my life goals, how this move aligned with that. Had I
Yeah.
thought about that, I wouldn't have moved to Portugal.
Yeah.
I would have moved anywhere else. So, and these are the two biggest mistakes I see people make. I didn't make them alone. Up to 40% of people who move abroad, according to Pricewaterhouse report, in corporate environments, up to 40% fail, meaning they reach a point when they're like, oh, I don't want this, I'm not happy here. So
Yeah.
I wasn't alone. I just didn't know that. So it was twofold, not knowing the real purpose, like digging in and just keeping skimming the surface. Yeah, it makes sense. It's a good country. But my family's there. I speak the language, like these practicalities,
Right.
and not really thinking about how my purpose in life, my goals in life, my professional goals, my personal goals were aligned with this.
As a professional moving, part of why I wanted to found this channel is because I wanted to provide resources for professionals, because it is easy to think working from home in your home country is the same thing as working from home in a foreign country, and it's not. It's totally different. And living in a location independent job is another challenge, right? Because you don't have this community of other people.
That was a big challenge because some of my greatest friends I met at work. So when
Mhm.
you don't have the water cooler conversations, the break room conversation, let's go out for lunch. Oh, you look tired, you look worried. Let's go out for lunch and talk about it. That's where you forge relationships and friendships.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that, plus you're living in a foreign country where you navigate the spoken and unspoken rules. Usually, when you're moving to another country, there are other transitions. It's not only the location that changes, your phase in life, your
Mhm.
profession, or how you work, or not working, or not having people to help you with your kids, or other things will change. The easy way is to point the finger at the location
Mhm.
because that's the most obvious. But when we're in a foreign country, it's just so easy to say, oh, the bureaucracy, I don't speak the language. Yes, that's true, that exists, but that's not the only
Mhm.
factor in the equation.
I would say a lot of what you're saying resonates for me as well. We've been here now for 7 months and everything is challenging. So as you're going through whatever you're going through in your life in your home country, at least you can go get gas in your car and you can go to the grocery store and you don't have to think about every single part of your life. Like the phone rings and I'm an extrovert, but the phone rings and I get panicked because I'm like, okay, is
Mhm.
my Portuguese good enough to handle this?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
those little things chip away at
Yeah,
you.
there's a name
Okay,
for that. A cultural distress stems from two major processes that we go through. We have what is called cultural shedding. So we have to unlearn the way we used to do
right.
things. And there's cultural learning. So we have to learn new ways of doing things. And these two things happen at the same time, and they increase our cognitive load immensely. We're always thinking about stuff. We have to translate things. We're like in hyper mode. And that is extremely draining energetically. That's why when we move abroad, we was like, oh, I used to be so productive, and here I can only do 3 things a day. It's not only the environment. We are slower too because we're working double or triple what we are used to. But
Right.
people don't know that. And that's why I exist to help people
Right.
understand these processes. And I like to say that when you name the beast, it's easy to tame it. When
Mm.
you know what's going on and when you're not the only one going through this, pretty much everyone goes through this. You can deal with it better. You can figure out, okay, I'm not weird. I'm not incompetent. This is a normal thing.
It seems like a lot of people when they move abroad, they're doing it at key life transitions. So whether it's retirement or like for you, it was leaving your MBA program and starting your life, right? After post MBA. And for us, one huge transition has been that my son went from being homeschooled to being in school. And it's easy to collapse like, oh, this is all because I'm living abroad, but you're having to cope with this new part of your life. You did it again, right? You got married, which is another huge life transition, and then you moved abroad again. So how did you the second time around, how did you combat some of the obstacles that you knew were headed your way?
Yeah, that's why I went back to school. That's one of the reasons that I said, okay, I want to study what happens. I want to understand. Not only I had many different transitions. I left my
Yeah,
corporate job. I moved countries. I got married, and
yeah,
after a year, I had my daughter. But when I did my master's, I understood all this. I realized there's research behind this. I
mm,
looked at how people started to deal with this. I started with localization. So, what localization means is translation, but within the same language, Australian English to American English or whatever. In this case, it was European Portuguese to Brazilian Portuguese. I realized that I was so focused, my work was so focused on what sets me apart
mm,
from the locals, how locals speak, that it was detrimental to my integration.
mm.
Because I was always looking at what makes us different. And I stopped it. I'm in a moment that I need to look at this location and see what is similar and not what is different. I need to feel part of a community. So I stopped doing that work. I started consulting at the university. I did other types of translation. But when we are in this situation and we don't realize these little things, a painter will tell the difference between, I don't know, this blue and that blue. I look at that, for me, it's all the same. I have the training and do not only the training, but the experience having lived that. I have a different view. I have a different eye. I can sometimes spot things that people might disregard.
I love what you said about how you realized that the work you were doing was not supporting you in being happy here. And so you changed the work you were doing. And I think that is a really important thing for professionals when working in a foreign country or a new home country, however you want to say it. You still have career transitions. That happens anywhere, right? Where we look within and we're like, this isn't working for me. I need to be doing something different. That is another thing that can happen when you're working here is that you want to change the work that you do. And I love how you were able to pivot like that. Can you share your work strategies?
I'm reading a book called Mindset. It talks about growth
Mhm.
mindset. I think that in order to be an entrepreneur, you need to have growth mindset. Things will go wrong. You need to be patient with yourself, and also Managing Transitions by William Bridges, which is one of my favorites. And I think that you need to have a growth mindset, that everything is learning, everything is figure outable. That's one thing. And the other thing is knowing your boundaries,
Mm,
knowing when something is too much. So I don't allow in my life, within reason, things that I feel that are detrimental to me. So I think that's good practice in life, in business as well. I only work with clients that I think I can help. If I have an introductory call and I see I can't help the person either because they have other issues that I'm not qualified to deal with,
mhm.
or I just tell them, look, this is maybe not for you right now. If here is another professional that might
Right.
be able to help you. And that has been like my ethics, my ethos.
Tell us a little bit about your community and how it can support people.
Yes, I offer individual coaching, but I also have something that I think is very interesting because it's very accessible. So, the Expat Journey Program is a membership where people can find guidance and resources from the moment they think about, I think I want to live abroad. What do I do?
Mhm.
Until the moment they leave everything behind and feel at home in their new country. Their pre-move roadmap, there's a post-move roadmap with every single step of the way. As I said in the beginning, I don't do the logistics, the visa application, but it's like the project management of your move
Mhm.
and life abroad,
Yeah.
all the how to's. And then there are live workshops, guest speaker interviews, directory of services for to find the people to do those things that resonate with the members. So there's a lot of resources there because my goal is to offer what I wish I had and didn't find.
Right.
And the membership is a great place to have all that, plus a community, plus feel that there is guidance and support every step of the way.
I think it's a great resource for those of us who live here. I've already had the experience of people reaching out to me and they say, "Oh, I would love to move to Portugal when I retire in 5 years. Can you tell me all about it?" And I'm like, "I can tell you my experience, but frankly, it's probably not going to be relevant to your experience." And because
Mhm.
already even in a year everything changes. And then I can't support you in your next 5-year journey of your life to figure out how to move to Portugal and or whatever it is you want to do. So a lot of people once we get here, people want to do what we did. And I'm happy to have a conversation and share what I can share. But beyond that, I really don't have that much support to offer. So I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to having your community as a place to refer those people to as well. Because there is a point at which you're not ready to hire your visa person. You're not ready to get a lawyer, but you still want a community to help support you.
It's Expat Journey Program, and everyone's welcome to join.
I have a link to that in the description as well. So all the ways to
Okay.
reach Deborah are down there, and you can also comment. If you comment with a question, we'll get back to you with the right information. Do you have any tips for people who are thinking about launching something here?
In Portugal, I think you need to have a great accountant.
Yeah,
You need to have someone who is knowledgeable, honest, and knows their way around stuff. I think that is crucial. I think in depending on the industry, because different industries will have
right,
different licenses or things like that, it could help to have a consultant help you open the business. I'm also all for hiring experts.
right.
No one knows everything. And the risks of doing things wrong, especially if you're a foreigner, are high. But I think you should have a business plan. You don't have to have a detailed, like, consulting deck, but you have to know what is it you want to do, how much you're willing to spend, what is your payback estimated time, and like basic numbers
Mhm.
and resilience, because there will be information that contradicts one another that you don't understand, and it adds a huge layer to the cultural shock moment, especially if you've moved abroad for this or in tandem.
Right.
So pace yourself and have a good cushion, because things will go wrong, things will delay. This is true in anywhere in the
Yeah.
world. Okay? You will start blaming the outside because that's what we do. So when you
Yeah.
start doing that, stop, breathe, think about it, regroup, and go back to your what for, your purpose.
Deborah, thank you so much for being my guest. Please comment about this. We want to hear your business story. And also, if you have other topics or guests you'd like me to interview in future episodes, please let me know. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Great being here.